This is Dr. Rani Samuel, clinical psychologist and author. Today, I'm going to speak to you about how healing is actually an invitation. So, to discuss the invitational nature of healing, of how we are welcomed into healing, and it is not something to actually be so terribly afraid of. So let me start by telling you about one of my patients. Her name is Jessica, and Jessica's in her late 30s. Jessica lost her mum when she was very young, so she had a very strong attachment to her father. And actually, it was not a healthy attachment because she was extremely dependent on him, and they would see each other more than once a day. They would be talking all the time, and he depended on her as much as she depended on him. Jessica's father had a cardiac condition, and he began to deteriorate, but there was almost like it was a denial of how sick he really was, and then he passed away. And this became an absolute crisis for Jessica. She could not accept it. She could not move on from it. And she began to see me because she deteriorated health-wise. She became sick with immune disorders, getting a whole lot of viral infections, and her health didn't improve. So she saw a psychiatrist, and she was put on antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs, and she started to see me. But she really struggled to come to me and to be in therapy. It's something she did not want to do. She did not want to examine the issues of her grief. Well, fast forward a year later, 2 years, and even 3 years later, she did not continue a treatment plan. And she would come to me every year around the annual anniversary of the passing of her father. And I started to tell her that this is going to be really important for her to heal, because now she has what we call complicated bereavement, also known as complicated grief. It's where you are stuck and you cannot move forward. And at one of our sessions, she just said to me, I would rather go to medical surgery than come to your office. She said to me quite strongly, I hate coming here. I hate speaking about my father. I cannot move on. This is me. I am stuck for the rest of my life. But on the flip side, she also said, I know I can't take any more medication. The psychiatrist won't give me any more medication. I am stuck. And she went on to say, I will not see any other psychologist. I know you are the psychologist for me. So effectively, she tied my hands behind my back that I couldn't help her. This is what we call therapeutic resistance, when you oppose the treatment plan. The patient often knows what's good for them, but they would oppose you. And the right approach when there's resistance to therapy and resistance to the treatment plan is actually to work through it, to see what the fears are, to see where the concerns lie. And it's a conflict, so to resolve that conflict, which is very healthy, because resolving therapeutic resistance with your psychologist helps you to resolve problems in the real world. But what Jessica did, which is what many people do, she ran away from me. And then she would insist on coming to see me every year for 1 or 2 sessions around the death anniversary of her father. So in a way, she refused the invitation to heal. My office is a very inviting place. It's just full of natural light. It's a very safe space. It's a quiet space. It's actually a sanctuary for the hurting. And my patients in general love that space. Jessica is one of the very few patients I've had who was so opposed to therapy. And as much as I give this invitation, the invitation has to be received. And it's a partnership when a person comes to therapy. But I want you to know there's a far greater invitation to heal. And it's an invitation, it's a divine invitation. And I want you to know that in the book of Psalms 147, it says that he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Their binding is like bandaging. When you bandage a wound, you're actually binding it up. So it's the work of divine hands. It's holy surgery. There's a holiness about healing, and it's a deeper work. And all of us are actually invited into this deeper work. I love Psalms 139, 13 to 16. For it says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am so fearfully and wonderfully made." It goes on to say, "My frame was not hidden from you when I was in the secret place." So there's a secret place where you are made, and you are invited back into the secret place to heal. Because it says that God knit you together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed self. Imagine to that level of divine intimacy. You know, there's a nakedness about the body, but the unformed self, so before you actually came to be, the creation of you was seen by God, was created by the hands of God. It also says, "All the days ordained for me are in your book." And God knew every day, even before that book was written about you. Knitting is a very meditative process. It's deliberate, it's precise. And imagine the hands of God knitting your unformed self together. This creation was actually done in love. And I need you to imagine that you are invited once again into the secret place where everything wounded and broken in you can be re-knitted together by the very hands that made you. So the hands that made you are the hands that can heal you. Do not be afraid of this process. I would like you to know there's a lot of spiritual resistance too when it comes to healing. Many people are afraid of God, and they're afraid of the pain that comes with the healing process. Healing is a different type of pain. It's a pain that moves you forward. You know, when you go into any physical surgery, that it has to hurt before it heals. But we are sometimes forced into surgery. Do not see the healing process as being forced. And don't reach a stage where you are forced, and do not be slow. Understand that hardships are there to refine you. They're not there to break you. It is to refine you so that you can step into destiny. So come as you are. The invitation is open. There is no special dress code to come into healing. But the banquet is laid, and you are invited to step in. And I hope you would say yes to the invitation to heal. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.